Hey you guys, welcome back to Our Awaken. So today I wanted to talk about why I decided to leave Instagram. So my Instagram has been deactivated for I want to say about 3 months now, and I honestly do this like every year, probably about like once or twice every year for a couple months, just because I usually go on like a social media cleanse, or I realize like what's the point of me really being on here. And I think I'm going to stay off of Instagram indefinitely. And I have a couple different reasons why. I feel like Instagram is not like what it used to be. Back in the day, you used to post whatever you wanted. Like I would post things to connect with the people that I knew, just to kind of like keep them updated. And I feel like now on Instagram, you would have people just watching what you're doing versus interacting with it. And honestly, it just feels like I'm willingly updating you on my life, when it's like, why do I feel the need to do that? Or who are you for me to have to do that? Like, what's the purpose of me doing it? Especially when it's like majority of the people that you have on Instagram will be people that you know. It'll be family, it'll be friends, and they would just watch your stuff. They won't interact, they won't support, they won't like anything, and it don't take nothing to like nothing. And I just find it very weird, because it's like, what's the point of me really giving you this update? Also, I feel like, let's be honest, like people only post like their highlights on Instagram. I'm not saying everybody, but I feel like oftentimes people do just post their highlights. And I feel like it tends to give people this false perception of life, because then there will be people in your life who assume that you have like this perfect life, or that everything is all peaches and cream. But it's just like, can we be real? Life is not like that. And with them thinking that your life is perfect, it starts to create this jealous nature in them. And it takes for you to have to tell them the things that you might have going on in life, for them to then be like, oh wow, like I would have thought this and I would have thought that. But can we be for real? Like, I'm not picking up my camera when I'm stressed out. I'm not picking up my camera to go post on Instagram to let everybody know when I'm down. But it feels like with Instagram, if you really want to create that realistic vibe, you know, you have to show both the goods and the bads. But then it's like, the downside to that, there's also people who find joy in knowing that you are not doing well. And I think that's very weird, because I'm not going to share my lows with you just for you to feel good about yourself, so that you don't think that my life is perfect. I just think that's weird. Also, I realize that social media is not a real place. People will literally put on a front to pretend to be something that they're not. It's like, I know you in real life and you're not like that. But people get to pick like a character that they want to be, and they will play out that character as if that's who they genuinely are. Like, I remember this one time, there was this girl I had on my Instagram, and she gave big energy, and she scheduled a lash appointment with me, and I stayed late. I took this girl at a later time than I normally would for an additional fee. Why? After I finished her set. So when I tell her the price, she's looking at me confused, and I'm looking at her back confused, because it's like, what are you confused about? We discussed this prior to us even setting the official appointment. And I explained to you that if I took you at a later time, then it would be for an additional fee. She's like, oh, I thought you were taking me just to be nice. And I'm looking at her. Mind you, it's 10 p.m. at this point. I just want to go home because I'm starving. I'm tired. So I'm like, you know what? Cool. I shouldn't even did that. But God works in mysterious ways, because she then didn't want to take the train to go all the way home, so she had to call her Uber, but her Uber wasn't working. So she basically was dry asking me to order the Uber for her, and she was going to send me the money. So I think the price, when I checked the Uber, it initially said like $46. So I told her that. So she sent me the money. And then as I called the cab, I guess the price updated, because I wanted to make sure she was going to send me the money before I even called the Uber, because she just tried me with the other fee. So I'm like, you know what? Let me wait until she sends it. I get the notification, and then I'm gonna call her Uber. So by the time I call her Uber, probably like 5 minutes later, I believe the price dropped to like $42. When I tell you this girl was hovering over my phone, like how much was it? And I'm like 42. She's like, oh, can you send me the $4 back? And I'm just looking like I was gonna send it back. Like, but it's just like, damn, like the way you be acting on the gram, I wouldn't think you'll be pressing me for $4 right now. Like, but the $40 that you tried to not pay me was the money you had to pay for your cab. So you still lost the money. But it's just the fact that like the way people present themselves on Instagram, it don't be who they be in real life. Instagram will make you think something about a person based off of how they want you to perceive them. But when you really get to know them in real life, you realize like, oh wait, that's not really you. So that's something that I feel like with Instagram I don't really like. And I remember there was a time with Instagram where I'm, like me doing lashes, I'm around women all the time. I didn't really go out and stuff like that. So I saw Instagram as my source of, oh, I could probably like meet people on here. And then I shortly realized after that, like, yeah, I don't want to date nobody off Instagram because a lot of these guys make themselves seem to be something that they're really not. When you really get to know them in real life, you start to see like how that person really is and their character and all of that. I feel like Instagram feels like a space where people are competing with each other. Like, who can have the best this? Who can stunt the best in this? It's not something that I was just entertained in being a part of. And I got tired of seeing the trends. I feel like there was this lack of authenticity. And maybe it's just the demographic of people that I was seeing. But I was seeing the same trends just repeating over and over again. One girl put this outfit on, another girl is putting on a similar outfit. All the guys look the same. All the girls look the same. It's just like, damn, when I step outside into the real world, I'm not seeing all that I see on Instagram. So I feel like it creates this, again, this false sense of reality. Also, I feel like Instagram just takes up a lot of time, to be honest. I feel like the time that you use scrolling on Instagram, you could be doing a lot for yourself. Once I realized that time was valuable, I don't have time to be watching people who are watching other people and they're not doing anything with their lives. If anything, I like to be on Instagram to get inspired and to see people doing things because it inspired me to want more for myself as well, or just to see like, oh wow, like this person could do it, all right, I could do it too. It was inspirational. But to just be watching people, it just wasn't given for me. Also, I feel like another reason why I decided to stop sharing so much of myself on Instagram is because I realized that even when you're not sharing so much of yourself, there are people that are digging for information. Like, they want to know what you got going on. I remember when I moved into my first apartment, I had posted a picture. I used to post pictures of me in the bathroom mirror so you could kind of see a little bit of the background. And when I moved into my second apartment a year later, I never made an update on Instagram saying I moved because I didn't feel like it was anybody's business. So earlier in 2023, this girl that I worked with back in 2015, 2016, who I have not spoke to since then, but I have her on Instagram, but I don't really like see her stuff really like that. Basically, we don't really engage. And she booked an appointment with me, and when she came, we're just catching up or whatever, and she was like, oh, I saw that you moved. And in my head, I'm like, what's this girl talking about? I'm like, oh, how did you know? And she's like, oh, because I realized your bathroom was different. At that point, I'm like, wow. I kept it cool, but it's like, damn, like, how the hell? It was just very strange because it's like, wow, you had to be observing me to know that and to confidently say that, like, that you knew that I moved before I even told you. This is like the first time we're speaking in 6-7 years. If anything, this conversation is us updating each other. You updating me on your life, I'm updating you on my life. But no, She was updating me on my life, and it was just like something that I haven't even discussed on Instagram. And that was the beginning of me even moving into the building. It showed me like people really do be watching. So imagine her, who I haven't interacted with in so long. She could confidently tell me that she knew that I moved. Imagine people who do know me, or people who I've interacted with a little bit more. It's like, what do you know that I don't know that you know? That was strange to me. Mind you, this girl does not interact with my Instagram at all. Even when it was my birthday, she didn't say anything. But when she came to the appointment, she's like, oh, I remember I saw it was your birthday. And then she said happy birthday to me then. But it's just like, why didn't you just say it? You know, it was just it was weird. And also, I feel like with Instagram, one thing that I don't like about it is that it gives people the space to get to study you, to kind of see like the type of person you are, so that they can mold themselves to be that person, just to get your attention. And I just wasn't getting down with that. Also, to be honest, I feel like social media's culture, like I said, it has gotten to a point where it's like flex culture. People want to show off. It's now about who's taking the most vacations, who got the flyest drip, who got the best relationship. And honestly, a lot of the times it be fronts. And I'm not even trying to look at it from that perspective. Like, I'm just calling it how I see it. But it's like this competition basically to see like who's doing the best in life. I just don't want to be a part of that. And I'm a person that foreshadows. And can we be honest, like with this economy right now, I wouldn't be on Instagram flexing and showing people what I got, because when things get rough, I don't want to be a target. I want to just be ghost, lay low. You don't know what I have going on, and I don't want you to know what I have going on, because I don't have anything going on. How about that? And then when it comes down to like people that you genuinely know and stuff like that, they would dead just be watching your stuff, and they would not be supporting at all. But then they will have the nerve to say, oh yeah, like I see you doing good, or oh, I wish you well. But it's just like, you just be watching. So how honest are you really being right now, you know? And I don't know, I just feel like Instagram is just a weird place. I feel like it's a lot of inauthenticity. One of the biggest reasons why I also got off Instagram, I feel like, is because as a person who's been doing the work and who's been healing and who does not like chaos, I don't like drama, I don't even tolerate that in my own life, I literally remove everything that disturbs my peace. So if I do that in my own reality, why is it that I'm willingly signing onto an app that is exposing me to other people's trauma and exposing me to chaos? Because at that point, the chaos that I've intentionally moved out of my life, I'm still ingesting it on an app from other people. I feel like Instagram allowed people to have access to me that I wouldn't give access to in real life. You know how there's people that you've encountered in life. Usually, let's say if Instagram didn't exist, we would have gone our own separate ways, and we would probably have no knowledge of what each other is doing in our lives. And I would be comfortable with that. But because you guys have each other on Instagram, I feel like you tend to have like this invisible tie to people still, to where they feel like they are still a part of your life. And I just didn't like that, because there will be people that would feel entitled to my energy, and there will be people that feel entitled to having access to me. And it's like, if you don't have my phone number, or we don't speak outside of social media, then it's just that. And I'm really selective about the people that I allow into my life. I feel like Instagram wasn't helping with that, because like I said, people who I wouldn't allow to have access to me in my real life, they had access to me on Instagram. And I want to protect my energy, and I want to live a peaceful life. And I'm a person who understands that what you see with your eyes, what you hear with your ears, and what you speak with your mouth can affect you. And if I'm being intentional about protecting my energy, social media is just not the place to be. not for entertainment purposes, not to fill up any time. The time that I can spend scrolling on Instagram, keeping updated on other people's lives, is the time that I can spend on bettering myself. I can be working on my business. I can be thinking of different ideas to make money. I could be thinking of different ideas to just make myself happy, like pour into myself and all these things. So I feel like Instagram just takes away from that. And honestly, Instagram is very much like an energy vampire. Like, you go on there, and after scrolling for a while, my energy just be so drained. And it's like, y'all, I'm fighting every day to raise my energy levels. I'm not about to get on Instagram and stress myself out with other people's problems. It's just not happening. Don't get me wrong, there are pros and cons to social media. I personally conduct business on Instagram. And I believe that if I'm gonna be on social media, I need to be producing more than I am consuming. Basically, have more output than input, okay? I need to be using it to my advantage and not to my demise. Like I said, I like social media for the positive things, the inspiration, the connecting with people who is worth connecting with. But then there's people who you want to connect with that really just be watching you. Like, some people want to be in secret competition with you. It's just a very weird place on Instagram, to be honest. And I'm just happier without Instagram. Like I said, I feel like I have more time to pour into myself. I'm just growing more in different areas in my life because I realize time is valuable and what you do with your time matters. So make sure you're spending your time doing things that are benefiting you. Scrolling on your story for 2 hours to keep updated on other people's lives are not benefiting you. Also, if we talk about, let's say, TikTok, for example, a lot of people's brains are literally turning into mush because they intake so much short form content that it's like their attention spans aren't really even there. That's also something that I don't want to get caught up. So I've been using this time more to get like creative and do things that make me happy, that are more still, like painting, arts and craft, just creating things. I've also been using this time to start reading more. I've also been using the time to spend developing my business and educating myself and just pouring more into myself, honestly. And yeah, so that's pretty much why I decided to leave Instagram. And to be honest, I don't really feel the desire to go back. I don't feel like people really be happy for you. They just be watching you. So just be mindful about what you're spending your time on.